All right, good afternoon, everyone. Happy Tuesday. I'm meteorologist Adam Claybon here on this First Alert Tuesday, and we also have a First Alert Day for tomorrow as well for this strong system that's out over the Pacific. So let's go ahead and get right into it because we are going to see impacts mainly due in part because of winds, but also at the same time, we're going to see some snow and some rain. Just not going to be the main threats with this storm. Let's get into the graphics here. We're expecting to see this bomb cyclone. I know many of you have probably heard that term thrown around a lot here over these last few days. Well, just wanted to let you know, bomb cyclone comes from this term, that it's meteorological bombogenesis. And essentially what it means is that we have an area of low pressure that is intensifying rapidly. And when you have a system that's strengthening, it's going to lower the pressure. And that's how we measure strength with storms, by their pressure. And it's in millibars. So when we have a system drop by 24 millibars within a 24-hour period, that's when we consider that system a bomb cyclone. And really, the lower the pressure, the stronger the system, as well as the stronger the wind. So that's why we're keeping an eye out for some of these strong winds as this system continues to deepen and strengthen out there over the Pacific. So again, the main threat with this will be the blustery winds that we're expecting late this afternoon and really for the most part into the first half of tonight. We are going to see some stronger gusty winds early into tomorrow morning, but most of that will be coming to an end. Now we expect the strongest winds out towards the Cascade foothills as well as through the passes and out along parts of the coast. We're going to show you that here in a second, but with that being the case and some of the snow that we're expecting, we could see blizzard conditions, and it looks like we are expecting that here throughout tonight and into early tomorrow. We're going to show you where those are going to be impacting us, and also we'll talk about some of the minor effects, but still something that we'll keep in mind, the minor flooding that we could see from some of these king tides that are still around as we go throughout the next day or so. So up here looking at Stevens Pass, things are quiet for the time being, and this is early into your Tuesday afternoon, so no big worries if you're still trying to get across. You have some time, and here across Snoqualmie Pass, things not too bad as of right now either, but by about 5, maybe 6 o'clock tonight, things are definitely going to change. Where's the moisture? Out this way, towards Westport, and we're seeing the rain beginning to come down, and it's not going to be a lot of rain, but definitely some noteworthy amounts out there towards the coast. Here in Seattle, things still dry. We're sitting in the mid-40s, and we have that wind coming in only at 8 miles per hour out of the east. Now, check this out. We're expecting to see the rain pick up at about more 4 to 5 o'clock. We'll see some of those heavier showers into the first part of the night, and more of that here as we go past midnight as well. Temperatures holding steady around the 40s around parts of Puget Sound, and that's where most of us sit, but I wanted to point your eyes to what's happening across the passes. Stevens Pass, White Pass, well below the freezing point. We'll get our best chances there of keeping things pretty much in the form of snow and maybe some higher totals there. Snoqualmie Pass will be really close, but we are expecting to see a decent amount of snow there too, but it's just not going to be a whole lot. Now winds, not really all that bad either. Out towards the coast, Hoquiam, where we do have some of the rain, some of those showers coming in right now, is at about 18 miles per hour. We're going to see that pick up once we really start to see some of these bands of rain come from off of this system up into our part there across western Washington. So the radar, you can see some of those showers moving over the Olympic Peninsula right now as we speak. Moderate to light rain, some heavier showers just off of the coast, Aberdeen, over towards Westport, Tuhola, Grayland, Raymond, also seeing some of that. That extends over towards areas even closer to Olympia right now. But just check out that really classic look to that system right there. A comma shape where you can see that's really deepening, and it has almost a symmetrical sort of look to it as it continues to strengthen out over the Pacific. So the winds are strengthening with that. Thankfully, the strongest of the winds out over the water, but we're close enough by that we are going to see some of the impacts with that. In the big picture, we're going to throw some moisture also up into our part of the Pacific Northwest, but it's really more directed with that atmospheric river farther south into southern Oregon and heading into Northern California, where they're going to see some of the heaviest rain and the heaviest mountain snow with that. All right, here we go. Closer look at some of those high wind warnings that are out because of that system right there. And you can see high wind warnings out from this afternoon at about 2 p.m. until 4 a.m. Wednesday morning. Now, those will be for the areas out towards the coast and for our Puget Sound foothill locations. And that's where we could see some of those gusts up to 65 miles per hour. And I wanted to also point out what's happening just south of there out over the ocean. That red color that you see, not over the mountains, but the one out over the Pacific, that's where we could see hurricane force winds, and that's again closer to that center of the storm itself. So thankfully not as bad here on land where we are, and for the lowlands where most of us live, looks like we're going to see wind advisories, not as high of winds, but still noteworthy, definitely going to be respectable. Some gusts up to 50 miles per hour, generally winds between about 20 to 30 miles per hour, and those go through the same times with those advisories here until 4 a.m. on Wednesday morning. There are your blizzard warnings. You can see that indicated by the red colors up and down the Cascades. Now that's going to be due in part not because of all that much snow. You can see the range between 4 to 12 inches and more around that 4-inch range, getting closer to Snoqualmie Pass where temperatures will be closer to that freezing point. But most of this will be because of the wind blowing the snow around and reducing visibilities less than a quarter of a mile. And when you have that happen for 3 hours, that's when you get into that blizzard warning criteria, and that's what we're expecting here with this system as we head on into the night. There will also be some impressive totals out over the Olympics, and actually more snow over this way as we're expecting between 1 to 2 feet of snow. Winds not quite as high there, gusting to about 50 miles per hour, and that starts up at 4 p.m. today and will last until 4 p.m. on Wednesday. So let's talk about the winds, because those are expected to start to pick up a little bit as we head later on into this afternoon. This is 7 p.m. so we're now into those advisories and those high wind warnings. So you can see where we have some of the purples. Keep an eye out on those. That's where you're going to see a lot more of those gusts around 45 to maybe even 50 miles per hour and above. So we have a large area kind of covered with that, and a lot of that coming straight through those pass gaps where you are going to accelerate that wind, kind of like what you would do in a city. When the wind goes between the buildings, it accelerates. At the same time, you're also seeing that moving down from the mountains as the wind comes up and over the Cascades. That downsloping wind is also an accelerating wind at the same time. So that's why we are expecting some of the stronger winds into some of those parts and out towards the coast where we have that wind coming off of the Olympic Mountains. Now this is at 11 p.m. tonight. You're still seeing a decent amount of purple here across parts of the Puget Sound foothills and even some out towards the coast, but I wanted to show you what happens as we get past midnight. You're going to start to see some of that shrink, and those winds not completely dying off, but they will ease as we head past that time. So the advisory and the warnings go until 4 a.m., but we're already beginning to see improvements right there. And for your morning commute tomorrow, most of the gusts come back down to about 25 to 35, maybe closer to 40 miles per hour, but we'll be at the end of the event at that point, and a lot of the wind continuing to taper off as we go later on into the day. So tomorrow afternoon shouldn't be nearly as bad. Now again, if you're trying to travel at any point tonight across the passes, not a good idea at all, because we're going to have this moisture move up into western Washington. The Olympic Peninsula mainly getting hit with that as we go on into the afternoon and the first part of the evening hours. This is 5 p.m. and around Puget Sound, most of this is still south of Seattle, but we are beginning to see some of that across the Cascades as far as the snowfall is concerned. And as we go deeper on into the night, that's when that will start to completely spread out, and that's when we have widespread moderate to heavier snow in place at that point. More of the steady rain during the first half of the night. You're going to have some of those heavier pockets out towards the coast, but as we go deeper on into the night, you'll see that that front will push on through. It keeps the snow fairly heavy into the first part of the day on Wednesday, and still being blown around by the lighter but yet still strong winds that are in place there. But around Puget Sound, this is 6 a.m., so your morning commute tomorrow morning, most of the rain trying to ease and actually let up to a certain degree. Still some pockets of rain, so not completely done with that, and the snow will continue to weaken as we head on into the latter part of the morning and throughout the afternoon at that point as well. But still off and on chances for the remainder of your Wednesday, and we'll start to see that things will begin to ease a bit more on into tomorrow evening and by tomorrow night. Now I wanted to show you some of the totals with this. We already talked about the snow totals across the Cascades, 4 to 12 inches. When you're talking about a system during this time of year, that's actually not that much, but it is going to be respectable when it comes to the wind. And with the rain here, a half an inch to maybe an inch around Puget Sound, even less of that as you go up around Bellingham. Rain shadowing helping us out there, only coming in at about 1/10 of an inch. Out towards the coast is where we could see about maybe 1 to 2 inches ahead when it comes to our rainfall. All right, here we go. For the rest of today, temperatures in the mid to upper 40s, chilly across the mountains. Snoqualmie Pass actually getting up to 34, so just barely above the freezing point there. And then for tonight, we'll see lows generally in the 40s and maybe a few upper 30s. But our forecast as we head on into the next 7-day stretch actually continues to stay active, and we'll keep an eye out for things as we head on into our Thursday night, Friday, and Saturday time, because it looks like we could have another system there. Not as strong as this one, but still one that may be a little closer and could bring a little more wind and a little more rain to the area. But now as I come back to me, we're expecting that the worst of it again will be the wind here tonight. make any plans that you need to prepare for any sort of power outages as we go from about 4 p.m. tonight until about midnight to 1 o'clock tonight for some of those stronger winds. Now, you might still have to deal with the power outages early tomorrow morning, but looks like a lot of the wind will be coming up. And even though we're not worried too much about the rain and the snow, still want to keep that in mind, and also keep in mind that we could see some past impacts too as we go throughout the night because of that blowing snow. Might see some closures due in part because of that.